Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. You're watching the fastest growing visual podcast in the Memphis market. Let's give it up for it one more again. Yeah. And we got our wonderful co-host who is standing in for the consummating Angelica Jelly Woods. Yeah. Right? Give it up for Double E in the Effective Podcast. Yep. And that is my DJ. Yeah. That's DJ Kojak in the building. DJ Kojak, scratch it up four times for Jesse, who is going to win this state representative seat.
Better believe that. Bam for the huge. Yeah, you said it. You
step up to that mic.
You gotta say that name right, man. Don't mess it up.
So give it up for Jesse Huseth. Let me tell you how to pronounce it. Huseth, who is in the building running for State Representative Tennessee District 97. Let's give it up for him. Yeah. Man, look. Jesse was smart enough, right, to sit in on the previous segment, so he can understand how the craziness goes down right here at the Antonio Parkinson Project. Man, thank you for being here. We truly appreciate it. Hey, before we jump into what your race is about, we do want to talk about and send our prayers up for those that have gone through in Florida and up and down the the eastern seaboard and Tennessee and Georgia, with these hurricanes, right? Back to back. Of course, first there was Helene, now Milton, and a lot of damage that is taking place. And then there's another hurricane that's brewing again, right? Back to back. And so we the Florida residents they were told to evacuate, right? And that, you have to think about that when you really put it in context, right? Those who can evacuate may try to evacuate, but everybody cannot evacuate, right? They said 1 in 5 gas stations in Florida were closed because they were just simply out of gas. Right. Well, think about what I'm saying. 1 in 5 in the state of Florida were out of gas or closed when people were trying to evacuate. So how do you evacuate if you don't have gas, right? How do you evacuate if you don't have money? Right?
We have a mutual friend that was stuck down there. He said he tried to do 3 flights, even tried to do an international flight to fly to Canada. Couldn't get a flight up out of there. So he tried and couldn't drive out of there. So he was at a resort. He just stayed there.
Yeah, Marlo. Yeah, that's my barber.
But
that's my barber too. I can't even get my hair cut because Marlo's stuck in Florida.
But did you guys see the people even evacuating stuck in the water as they evacuated?
Yeah, I saw that.
In the traffic. Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. And then when you also factor in all of the rhetoric that is coming from these folks on the right, these Republican Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and these other folks, to the point that President Biden had to address it. And I think we got video. Run that video, Nichelle.
Former President Trump has led the onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. That's simply not true. They're saying the money is needed for this crisis is being diverted to migrants. What a ridiculous thing to say. It's not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
What's sad about this, Jesse?
Controlling the weather
is that people are buying into this this stuff. They're saying that they were giving all of the money that was set for FEMA to migrants, which is a lie, right? And people are buying into it. They were saying that the government basically created these hurricanes, right?
FEMA had to launch a website to fight these lies specifically. Like the government infrastructure made a website that said, these are lies, this is what's happening, this is where the money's going.
Right.
And every governor has come out and said, no, they're doing a great job, everything we need, and we're controlling it, we're good to go. But you've all these folks who want to drive like news stories, get those clicks, or just, create like uprest before an election saying, no, the government's failing, get us out of here.
Yeah. What's crazy too is that, and I got to give it up to him, honestly, I like to give, props where props are due. Governor Lee actually pushed back on his own folks, that were putting all these lies out there. And he came out, and I wish I had that video. We'll probably put it in post, but he came out and said, nah, these folks lying. His own folks, right? Telling his lie. Because you think about it, Tennesseans are suffering, right? I mean, the damage in East Tennessee is crazy. I mean, crazy, right? And you think about, you had 6 people that lost lives at Impact Plastics, and all of this damage. And then, but here's the worst of the worst is that you got people and that are suffering, but that are buying into this bullshit that folks like Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these other folks are putting out. And it's causing them more harm. I think we got some video of a guy, his father-in-law bought into the Trump stuff and refused the FEMA money because he believed what Trump said, that they are going to take your house if you take the money.
Lives just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and he was badly damaged by Hurricane Helene. And he has refused all FEMA help because he's a hardcore Trumper. And he literally believes that if he accepts anything from FEMA, they're going to take his house. I don't understand how so many people are under the spell of this freaking con man. I don't understand it.
It's like people believe anything on the internet.
But it was the worst about that is he's suffering, and then by the time he realizes that it was a lie, it's too late.
Yeah.
Right. And and he may never recover, possibly, because he's buying into this bullshit.
It's
man.
an age of misinformation across the board.
Yeah. There was an interview with Vice President Kamala Harris, who hopefully prayerfully would be our next president of the United States, that asked her, about the misinformation actually coming from out of the country also. So we're in this information age, and a lot of this misinformation is coming from a lot of different sources that are
it's like those I can't remember the company's name, based in Nashville, like conservative media. They have some relationship with the Daily Wire,
right?
And turns out Russia's cashing these checks. Like, oh, we didn't know. I'm like, well, guys, you're repeating verbatim,
and they made a lot of money.
What RT is doing, Tell me how you believe your podcast, which gets 100,000 impressions every time you do it, is worth $400,000 a month. A month. Explain that to me. Like how some guy in a beanie thinks he's worth that much.
From Russia, $500,000 per month from Russia with love to these this conservative podcast, and they were just feeding the information, and a lot of our colleagues and others.
Didn't they get an award last year? Like, didn't they get they got recognized by the House floor because it's Benny Johnson, who used to work for CNN and got fired for plagiarism. And he went on with Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro, and he moved on to his own thing. Like these guys are getting high fives all around.
Hey, and real talk, you think about it too. All of them folks that are in that, not all of them, but a lot of them that are in that conservative space of putting information out, Candace Owens. A lot of them folks have relocated to Tennessee. Tennessee is a hub for this. Tennessee is also the state with the most hate groups in the union.
Yes.
So Tennessee, it has more hate groups than any other state in the union.
Let me tell you something. When Amanda Seals came to the podcast festival, she spoke about that. Tennessee, you guys need to pay attention because I specifically came to this state to talk to you all. Your state has a lot of fucked up laws and a lot of fucked up organizations in here, and you need to pay attention.
Right. Speaking of fucked up laws, that's why we got Jesse Huseth in here.
Yeah.
He's going to straighten this shit out, right? Come on. First domino, right. So Jesse, your race is probably one of the most high-profile races in state elections this election cycle. Why is that?
It's so competitive. So I'm a numbers guy, so I could talk all day about this, but I'll make it real quick.
No, take your time.
So 2 years ago, we had our governor's race. Jason Martin, respect him, great guy. We've talked. He did not do great statewide. I think he lost by 36 points. It wasn't close. He won 97 by 2 points.
Wow.
So we know the votes are there.
Yeah.
It is rated a Biden +3, so I don't have the Harris numbers, and it is.
Wait a minute. When I want you to break this down so a fifth grader can understand.
Okay.
It's rated Biden +3.
Yeah.
That went over a lot of people's head.
You're right. I apologize. So when I say things like +3, it means greater than vote share.
Right.
So Biden would have won this district by 3 points larger than Donald Trump when he ran in
So 3%.
3%. Yes. It is so hot that DLCC, which is a Democratic legislative organization that looks at state house races nationwide, recognize our race.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Awesome.
That they came in and said, hey, if you're going to get involved, this is one to get involved with.
Well, did they put some money in it?
Well, ask John Ray.
Okay. Because don't talk about it, be about it. Right?
Well, it doesn't come through me.
Right.
Like, if they give money, they give money to House Caucus funds.
Got you. Okay.
So it has already gotten hot. We have been running this race since February. We actually announced last November. We've hit, like, my campaign's already hit 15,000 doors. I have hit 6,000 because I'm about that. I've lost 25 pounds.
You about that life, ain't you? Knocking on the doors, huh?
Pounding pavement.
Right.
So, and we're seeing aggressive internet, aggressive mail. We're seeing a lot of interest. I have lived in this district for 30 years. I have never seen this many signs in House 97 ever, which, I'll brag about it, but I was doing it too.
Whose signs, though?
So it is my signs, Jesse Huseth and John Gillespie.
Okay.
Soon to be former Representative John Gillespie.
All right, then. Let's it up for that, Coach. Hit the horn on it. Hit the horn on it.
In that vein, I want to say two things. I want to tell folks why I was called to service. I want to tell folks why I'm fighting.
Okay.
Those are two different answers.
Okay.
So I'm a dad. I got two little girls. Abby's 9. Ava's turning 3 in like 3 days.
Right. Gotcha. And she got a big sister.
You got a big sister.
Right.
My girls will have fewer rights than their mother growing up because this state is going backwards. They are more in danger since the GOP got the supermajority, passing all these crazy gun laws for the last 13 years. They are more at risk health-wise due to backwards medical policies that this same supermajority has done. If you want to change policy, you change leadership. That's what I'm trying to do here for Tennessee. I've been called to serve, and I'm fighting like hell to serve. But
that's what I'm talking about.
But why am I fighting? I am a huge Memphis fan, and I mean that the city and the sports, but mainly the city. I'm Memphis born. I have worked all over this city. I've worked by the airport. I've worked in cotton. I've worked in restaurants and retail. I own my own business now. I'm in everywhere. It drives me up the wall when I see guys who say they represent Memphis literally go to Nashville and then trash our city.
Man, bro.
You want to know why we lost two judgeships? You want to know why we lost the crime lab? We lost our FBI lab just now? Why this city and this county produces 30% of all tax revenue in the state and we can't get a lick of investment? Because people who say they got our backs, when they leave Memphis, Memphis is in the rear view mirror.
Right.
And that's got to stop.
They align with the rural Republicans that are across East Tennessee. And the rural Republicans bash and create legislation that is harmful to the city of Memphis. And you got Memphis and Shelby County Republicans that align with them in the harm to the city of Memphis and Shelby County.
That is horrible.
Unbelievable.
It's
right?
insane. It's just this recent gun referendum we're going to have here on this ballot, because we are having the conversation of the impact firearms has in our community. Cameron Sexton came down and said, if you do this, I'm taking $70 million out of your pocket.
Right.
We're going to defund the police, we're going to defund education, and we're going to make you less safe if you have the discussion about firearms.
Right.
And, props to, JB Smiley and Jerry Green for standing their ground, because bullies get bullied, and we don't do that here in Memphis.
Right. And what's interesting about that is this, and I've been saying it from day one.
Yeah, you spoke about that.
I've been saying it from day one. Number one, it is not against the law for the city of Memphis to hold a referendum. And at first, that was the rhetoric that was coming out of there, right? And that's absolutely untrue. It's not against the law. The city of Memphis can hold a referendum, and they are holding their referendum, which give shout out to Memphis City Council, for keeping it on the ballot and fighting the fight, and we should get out there and make sure we vote in that referendum and the election, but so that your voice can be heard. And so I applaud the Memphis City Council for their strength and not backing down.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's important because you think about it, it's gotten to the point to where the policies that are coming down from the state of Tennessee, right? Permitless carry, the proliferation of assault weapons. Did you know that they were trying to pass a law that would allow 18-year-olds to walk around here legally with assault rifles on their shoulders?
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Visibly.
What sense does that make?
It makes absolutely zero
So why
sense.
would they even attempt to
it
do
is
that?
guys who, when they run their primary, there's 1,800 votes. And they are the most right-leaning voters in that district.
Mm-hmm.
When you have lines in Tennessee drawn the way they are, we're talking about gerrymandering, you get very, very conservative districts or very, very liberal districts, and there are a few like mine, which are really competitive. There's only like 4. And so what you see is these folks who come into power who have no idea how they got power in the first place, just lean into it, because as long as they are the most conservative person in their district, they'll never face primary. They have a job forever. And so they'll go insane and hurt metro areas like Memphis and Davidson County and Nashville.
Yeah, and what we're saying to them when we're fighting up there, we're saying, listen, I understand that you want to do permitless carry. I understand that y'all are okay with having assault rifles, right? And one of the things that my other colleague, the other Jesse, said, and I thought it was spot on, Jesse Chisholm, state representative. Shout out to State Rep Jesse Chisholm. Right? He said, because Jesse is, believe it or not, is a rural guy in the city, right? He's a hunter, right? He says, when you're in the country, in the rural areas, and you hear a gunshot, somebody's probably bringing food home. Right. But when you're in the city and you hear a gunshot, there's possibly a crime being committed. And that's true, because you ain't hunting in the city. Right. And so what we're trying to explain to them at the Capitol is this: look, give us the autonomy to be able to make the rules that will be beneficial to our city and county. Your shit does not work for us in Shelby County, Memphis and Shelby County. Yeah. Right. And so, but they want to stick to this cookie cutter approach as if it works, and it does not work. It's not just harming people and people are dying, but we're losing businesses. It's messing with our economic development.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How many businesses have said in the last 3 months we're closing because of crime?
So many. Some of your favorite restaurants.
Yeah.
There's a steakhouse in Memphis in my district called Buckley. It's been there forever. It's part of the furniture. And they're closing because they had too many cars getting busted into in their parking lot. Well, guess why? If you're going into a car, what are you looking for?
Looking for a gun.
You're looking for a gun every single time. You get a good window, you get a cell phone, and a gun, that's $2,000 of goods you just got in 15 seconds.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Jesse, look, tell everybody before you go, how can they support you? How can they find you? And what do you need? What do you need people to do for you right now for this election?
So at this breath, I need bodies.
Okay.
I need bodies. And a good segue, tomorrow, we're having a day of action.
Okay.
So at 10 a.m., we're meeting folks at Seattle Elementary in the parking lot, do some canvassing.
Okay.
At 12:30, we're going to do some phone banking and some stamp sticking for some postcards over the liquor store on Mendenhall. And at 1:30...
At the liquor store?
The restaurant liquor store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're cool with that. Look.
Actually, a restaurant. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then after that, we're doing sign waving. And then after that, I'm going back out.
Right.
So the best way to get folks to vote is to talk them at the doors. That's the best way to do it. If you talk to a voter at the door, they are 14 times as likely to actually go vote if they were undecided.
Okay.
If you can't, if you want, move your feet, of course, donations. We have an Act Blue. You can go to my website, jesse97.com, and find it there. If you
send us the Act Blue, we'll post it too.
Sure, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do
send it to us.
The real thing we need here in Memphis, and you said it earlier, bring a friend. If your friend doesn't have a voting plan or isn't sure they're going to vote, or is like, well, I'm going to vote for president and senate, explain to them why it's so important to vote and why it's so important to vote the whole ballot.
Okay.
I'm going to show you all a stat. The reason why John Gillespie's still in his seat. So 2 years ago, when we had that race we talked about, there's a thing called ballot attrition.
Okay.
And it is basically the difference in votes from the top of the ballot to the bottom of the ballot. How many folks quit voting? On the Republican side, it was a big ballot. From the governorship to the House representative on the Republican side, they lost 22% of the votes. On the Democratic side, 45%, almost half. and he won by 13 points. So if you just hold it even, he loses his job.
Right. Yeah.
We have got to get our voters to stay sticky on the ballot. We've got, like, every election matters.
Right.
Like, talk to anybody at the state house. You know what? If I walk up to you and say, Rep, what's the thing you most need at the state house? You're probably going to say, I think we're Democrats.
Right. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. We have a chance to send a few more this cycle.
Yeah, we really have a shot at flipping this seat. But Jesse, before you leave, I know this is a Ina question, but she's video. Yeah. So 5 reasons that they should vote for Jesse Huseth in this election.
I will go to the mat for Memphis every single time. I'm not going to put up with this garbage, how they're going to crap on our city.
Right. Reason number 2.
Reason number 2, I am going to fight for reproductive rights.
Okay.
I am pro-choice.
Amen.
I'm fighting for that hard.
All right. Reason number 3.
I am pro-public education.
All right.
We are not doing vouchers.
Amen.
I am not having Memphis City schools lose more resources with 44 kids in a classroom. Are you insane?
Okay.
Reason number 4.
While I support gun ownership, I support safe storage. We talked about cars a second ago. If we can get safes in cars, we will decrease violent crime with guns by 40% in Memphis.
Come on.
Can you imagine that drop?
Reason number 5.
I want to get trade schools back in Memphis.
All right.
We need multiple avenues way kids to make some money. And man, there is no better way to make money almost fresh out than going and being a plumber. I am not joking. Use some HVAC. If you're a plumber and you can lay cable, you're making at least $70K straight out of high school.
Man, come on, give it up for Jesse Huseth. Yeah, man.
Hit him with it.
Man, listen. Make sure, look, you go out and vote for Jesse Huseth. Keep that camera on, Jesse, while I say this. Make sure you go out and vote for Jesse Huseth for State Representative, District 97. And listen, if you're going out there, you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, but vote all the way down the ballot, right?
The whole ballot.
Vote the whole ballot, y'all. I promise you we can do this. We are this close, man. We're this close.
It'll be hundreds of votes.
Jesse, man, we appreciate you. We love you. We're proud of you, man. Make this shit happen.
Here we go.
Make it happen.
All right?
Let's go,
All right, man. All right, y'all.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Powered by Black Market Strategies.